And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make 3 different easy summer salads. You know, when the weather gets warm and we want to be outside, we really don't want to be in the kitchen slaving over a hot stove all day long. So I like to make quick, easy salads that can be lunch or dinner, but it also will keep in the refrigerator for a couple of days so you can eat on it and not have to prepare something every day. And it's great for leftovers for lunch to take with you to work or, you know, school or whatever it is that you're doing. So we're going to get started on a Greek roasted vegetable salad with some pasta. So the first thing we're going to do is chop up some vegetables. Now you can use whatever kind of vegetable that you like. I'm going to use some different colored bell peppers and some squash, but if you have an eggplant, feel free to put the eggplant in here, or some zucchini, or whatever you want will work. Now you want these to be bite-sized pieces. So what I do is cut the squash in half, lay it flat side down, and then cut them into quarters, and then cut them into, I'd say, about 1-inch chunks. And then just put them on your sheet pan that's lined with nonstick cooking foil. Now you do want to have your oven preheated to about 400 to 425 because we want to roast these vegetables. You can put them in a bowl to toss with the olive oil if you want to, but I really don't like washing dishes, so I'm going to cut down on the amount of dishes that I have as much as I can. So we're going to take out the seeds and any little, this membrane part. It's perfectly edible, but I like to cut it out a little bit. And you want these to be roughly the same size. So about 1-inch chunks is good. And I just put everything together on the sheet tray. Now you can use any color pepper that you want. I'm using a red one and an orange one, but you use what you have. Red peppers tend to be a little sweeter than green peppers, and I like them better in salads, but now I like green peppers too, so if you want to put a green pepper, by all means put one. And if you want to put an eggplant really is very good in this. Or some mushrooms, if you want to roast some mushrooms, you can. You do whatever you want to do. We're just going to get these vegetables roasting, and then we will start on another salad while these are roasting, because I don't have any prepped ahead. You're watching me do this start to finish. All right, so I just pile everything on a lined baking sheet, and I drizzle it with some olive oil. You know, a couple of it looks like a lot, but this is just barely drizzling out. Just a couple of tablespoons or so of olive oil. Some salt, about a teaspoon or so. Maybe not quite a teaspoon. And some freshly ground pepper. Now, I just bought one of these little pepper mills. My hands are wet. Let me dry my hand off. Can't hardly hold anything when your hands are wet. That are just the grinders that you get in the grocery stores. Just to show you, you know, they sell those already ready to go. Toss everything together with your hands. Make sure it's all coated with olive oil. Put it in just a single layer, and then put it in your oven. Pop it in your oven for about 20 minutes or so. Alrighty, now while our vegetables are roasting, you will need to bring a pot of water to a boil to cook some pasta. We're going to add some cooked, drained and rinsed pasta to that. So I do have a pot of water over there coming to a boil. My stove is over there. I know this is a little bit different of a set. We're getting there. But we're going to start with, or we're going to make a tuna salad. Now this is a little bit different than the tuna salad that a lot of people make, in that they put onion and salt and pepper and mayonnaise. We're not putting any onion in there. We're going to put some celery, just, you know, some finely minced celery to add a little bit of crunch. So I've got 3 pieces of small celery here. I don't want to add too much. I just have 1 can of tuna. Feel free to add as much as you want. Maybe you want to make this for more people, then you might need 2 cans. Okay, we're just going to dice up some celery, and I did drain the tuna and add the celery to that. Then I'm going to add some apple. This is just a sweet, crisp apple, and I think for 1 can, I think we just need 1/2 of this apple because it's kind of big. And then what I like to do is cut it in half, then cut it in quarters, and then cut out the seeds. I scrub mine, just leave the peels on. If you want to peel it, go ahead, but I like to leave the peelings on. It adds not only flavor, but vitamins and minerals, because a lot of that is contained in the apple flesh. And I don't want this minced so fine that you don't know you've got a piece of apple. So I like to cut it into, you know, just small dice. Okay. So mincing up this apple, I'm going to add that to the tuna. And then put that right there. Alrighty, now we're going to add some mayonnaise. I don't like my salads completely covered with mayonnaise. I like it to have a little bit less mayonnaise, but feel free to add more if you like a lot of mayonnaise. I'm going to add a little salt and some pepper. And we're going to stir all that together. Now, you can serve this with bread as a sandwich, or you can serve it over some lettuce. You could even mix in some lettuce if you wanted to. Or you can serve it with some crackers and maybe a couple pieces of cheese, a couple of little, you know, wedges of cheese or little cubes. However whatever you want to do works just fine for this. I'm just going to serve it with some crackers. This is it. All you got to do is put it in your on your serving dish. And I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator and let it chill. This is one of those that you can totally make ahead and then take it out of the refrigerator and serve it with some crackers. So we're just going to pop this into the refrigerator. I'm going to take a quick break, clean up, and when I come back, we're going to get started on a wonderful chicken salad. I'll be back in just a second. All right, now we are going to start a dried cherry chicken salad. This is one of those recipes that you can use leftover chicken. Maybe you've cooked chicken the day before and you've got some leftover roasted chicken. You could use, just get a rotisserie chicken and take the meat off the bones. However you want is fine. You want about 2 cups of chicken. Now, I like my chicken to be cut into pieces. I'm not real big on it being really finely shredded. I want to taste the chicken. So I have here in this bowl about 2 cups of rotisserie chicken. I'm gonna add some celery for crunch. And because I love celery, it's one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna, mince it a little bit fine. It adds a wonderful flavor and some great crunch to the salad. So just put everything in that bowl. I have here some dried cherries. Now these are not the dried cranberries that are flavored like cherries. These are actually dried cherries. If you want to, you could use the craisins or the dried cranberries. You want about a cup. Something like that is fine. Then I have some pecans. I've got a cup of pecans that I'm going to chop. You can put them in a bag if you want to and, beat them with your meat mallet if you want to do that, or you can just chop them. And sometimes you can even buy them chopped, but the pecans that I have are whole, so we're just going to chop them up. I like to get them kind of started, and then just like you would mince herbs, one side of your knife on the board, and then lift up the other side and go through the nut meat. If you don't like pecans, you could use almonds. You could use walnuts, whatever you want. All right, and just add those, about a cup. I just chop everything and then put it in here. Now, we are gonna put a little bit of a Granny Smith apple, but because I need to make a dressing, we're gonna wait and do the apple after we make the dressing so that it doesn't discolor. I have in this bowl just some mayonnaise, and then I'm gonna add, take off the little thing, some plain Greek yogurt. I like just a little more yogurt than mayonnaise, but feel free to customize your ratio. And if you want to use all yogurt or all mayonnaise, you can. I just really like that tang of yogurt in this. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. A little bit of salt, just a little. A little bit of a raspberry vinegar. Now, I happen to have raspberry balsamic vinegar, a white balsamic, but if you want to just use raspberry vinegar or really any kind of a fruity vinegar that you want, you could use red wine vinegar. Sherry vinegar is real good in this too. Just mix all of that together, and then I'm going to put this over top of the salad. And the acid in the vinegar and in the yogurt will keep the apple from turning brown. Acts like they, you know how you put lemon juice on things to keep it from turning brown? It's the same thing with vinegars. The vinegars work the same way. Then I'm gonna add some Granny Smith apple for a little bit of tart. A little bit cut out, same way we did the red, cut out the core. If you have an apple core, you can use that. Now I'm gonna mince this one a little finer than I did for the tuna salad because we've got a lot of flavors going on in here, whereas the tuna had just a few ingredients. This one has a few more, so we wanna, get them chopped up a little bit finer. Not too much though, you don't want it minced too fine. And I think half this apple is gonna be plenty. You put as much as you want. And again, I don't peel them. I just wash them and leave the peel on. For flavor, color, and vitamins and minerals. Okay. You can use your scraper. I use my knife too sometimes. If you're new to cooking, I advise very strongly to use a scraper instead of your knife. And then stir all of that together. And again, this is one of those that's great made ahead. Allow the flavors to combine. Okay. And I would serve this over top of some lettuce. Just looks pretty and it adds flavor and textures. You have to think about a lot of things when you're cooking. You have to think about color. Is it appealing to the eye? Because it is true, we eat with our eyes first. If it looks good to you, then typically your brain will say, oh, that's gonna taste good. So color matters. Obviously textures, you don't want everything you eat smooth. You wanna have, you know, different textures in there, some crunch, some smooth, some sweet, some salty, different kinds of flavors. In this case, we got a little bit of a bitter sour from the apple, but you've got the wonderful creaminess of the dressing. The apple provides a little more crunch to the celery, adds some crunch. The nuts will add a little bit of crunch. All kinds of just different things in here. You could add some shredded carrots to this. You could add some celery to this. You could add some little cherry tomatoes. You can add anything you want. Use this as a springboard to jump off to other ingredients that you like or that you may have, you know, in your pantry. Feel free. If you don't have a Granny Smith apple, then leave it out. Put whatever kind of apple you may have, or just don't put any apple at all and add other flavors to it. This is just a beginning point. So we're going to put this in the refrigerator, clean up. When I come back, we're gonna get our original Greek pasta salad together. We are going to cook some, this is a bow tie pasta, which is called farfalle. This is just, a lot of people know it as just a bow tie pasta. You don't have to use this particular shape, but you do wanna use something that has some little ridges in there to allow the dressing and things like that to get in there. You would not want to use like a spaghetti noodle because everything's going to slide off, but penne would be good in this, rigatonis, anything like that. But I just like the look of the bow ties, so that's what we're going to use today. I'm just going to cook some pasta real quick, and when I come back, we're going to finish up all of our salads, and then we'll serve them. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now our vegetables are roasted. I just took them out of the oven. Our pasta is cooked. I drained it and I did rinse it because when you use pasta in a salad, you need to rinse off the starch. So I did rinse it in some cool water, and it won't stick together too if you rinse it. So I'm just going to put these vegetables straight into the pasta, oil and all, because we're going to be making a dressing that contains olive oil, so that's good flavored olive oil. Okay, so we've got our vegetables in there, and now we're going to add some flavors to that. We are going to add some sun-dried tomatoes. Now, if you are using sun-dried tomatoes that are hard, that you need to reconstitute, you need to soak them in some boiling water for about 20 minutes or so. But these are just soft. They're already julienned, but I want them to be a little smaller. Or you could use oil packed. Any of those are fine. Just know ahead of time if you're using the hard ones, you will need to reconstitute those with some boiling water. So we're just gonna kind of chop these in a little, you know, into smaller pieces. They do kind of stick together, so you will need to separate them a little bit. I love sun-dried tomatoes. They have a wonderful, rich flavor. They're great in vegetables. They're great in pasta sauces. They're just wonderful in everything. And I'm gonna add some fresh basil. Now, you will not often hear me say this, but this is one ingredient you cannot substitute. If you do not have fresh basil, leave it out. Do not substitute with dried basil. It is a totally different flavor, and I'm nowhere near as good. So if you don't have fresh basil, just leave it out. But I've got, you know, a good handful of fresh basil, and I'm going to cut it into very thin strips, which is called chiffonade. I love, oh, it just smells so good. And then I'm just going to take my knife, my sharp knife, Mike just sharpened all my knives for me, and I'm going to add that straight into the salad. Now, the heat from the vegetables will kind of wilt that just a little bit and make it just taste yummy. Then I'm going to add some arugula. This is just baby arugula. I love this. It has a wonderful peppery flavor to it. It's a salad green, but it's really good. Then I'm going to take my tongs and I'm just going to kind of toss all that together. Again, the heat from the vegetables, and the pasta's still a tiny bit warm, will kind of wilt the arugula and the basil, and it's so delicious. Really, really good. That's not done, but we're going to add some feta cheese, crumbled feta, which is one of my favorite cheeses. We're going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I need to refill my pepper mill. We're going to add some extra virgin olive oil as our dressing. This is a heart-healthy oil. And we're going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I like this particular one for salads. You buy it at the grocery store. It's like $4 a bottle. But it adds wonderful flavor. This is Alessi brand. I mean, balsamic vinegars can get expensive. I don't buy those. I like that brand really well. One of these days, I would love to taste one of those really old balsamics, but they're very expensive, so I doubt I'll ever get to do that. Maybe one day, though. Maybe I'll get to go to Italy and do a food show in Italy. That would be great. All right, just toss all that together, and that's done. This is great warm. This is great cooled. It's just a wonderful little flavor. If you want to add some fresh parsley, you can. I've got some beautiful flat leaf Italian parsley. If you want to add some of that to any of these salads, you can. Parsley's not just for decoration. It really does add wonderful flavor. Now, I'm not crazy about the curly parsley, but I love the flat leaf Italian parsley. The thing I want to caution you about is read the little label on there, because parsley, flat leaf parsley and cilantro look a whole lot alike, and they taste nothing alike. So make sure you get parsley instead of cilantro. I personally do not like cilantro, so I always make sure of what I've got. I've made that mistake once, and that taught me a lesson. So I make sure that I have the right ingredient that I want, and that's done. And to me, that is the perfect summer salad. I just have some little bowls here. We're gonna put some of this in that bowl. And serve that. That will make a delicious summer lunch. It doesn't have to be summer. You can do this any time of year, but this is just perfect for a light summer lunch or supper. If you want to add maybe a piece of grilled chicken or fish and have a complete meal, go right ahead. But now I personally think that's a complete meal all on its own. But some people like to have some protein with their dish. So there's our wonderful pasta salad. Now, we got to finish off our tuna. Let's get our tuna salad. Remember, we put this in the refrigerator just to chill. So let's get that out. And again, you can serve this with some, as a sandwich if you want to, on bread, or you could serve it over some lettuce as a salad, or you can serve it with some crackers, just some plain, whatever kind of cracker you like. Whatever works for you is good. It doesn't matter. You use what you like. Let's see here. make them a little more even. And I would add a little bit of parsley to the top of that just to make it look pretty. And add a little flavor. So just mince up some more parsley if you want. Okay. Remember the same rule, just put one end of your knife down on the board and mince your herbs. They make a knife called a mezzaluna that rocks, that sometimes works great for herbs. All right. If you have a knife, it'll do the same thing. So there's our wonderful little tuna salad. And then the final one, our delicious chicken salad with our pecans and our apples, and it just, oh, so good. I got a little bit of parsley left, so let's just sprinkle a little bit more on our dishes. And there you go. There are 3 easy, simple, quick summer salads that you can make ahead of time. Great for like a summer barbecue or picnic. Great to have if you're doing a luncheon, or, you know, maybe you're having some of your ladies over